But nonetheless, we're doing a virtual press conference tomorrow at 11 a.m. And we'd like to invite all of you to participate. And my office will be sending a link to all of my colleagues' offices. So with that, let's give them a virtual round of applause and just keep up the great work. And thank you for your focus on the census and voter engagement and voter registration. What we're going to do, colleagues, is we're going to go back to our indicator, and then we'll come back to our commendations. As I saw our indicators here, and I don't want to miss any class if that's if we can help it. Supervisor Ellenberg.
Thank you so much. Samskruthi Madireddy will give an invocation about her experience as a student starting this school year differently from all previous years. I am so happy to introduce this community member who can give her personal perspective about the 2020-2021 school year. Samskruthi Madireddy is a 17-year-old senior at Notre Dame High School in San Jose. She's the leader of her school's on-campus mental health leadership group, Lighthouse. There, she organizes conversations about mental health and encourages self-care and wellness within her student community. She is also president of the Science Olympiad Club and involved in journalism. She loves writing articles through the lens of mental health. In addition to being a youth advisor for Alcove, she is the Santa Clara County representative in the Mental Health Services Oversight and Accountability Commission Youth Innovation Project Planning Committee. In her role, she works with other youth across the state to bring extensive prevention and early intervention programs to schools. Her hobbies include reading, dancing, calligraphy, and bullet journaling. Thank you, Samskruthi, for being here virtually with us today to offer an invocation and to help us keep top of mind why we do this work.
Thank you very much for that wonderful, wait, can everyone hear me?
Yep, we can. Just speak a little bit louder.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much for that wonderful introduction, and thank you for giving me this space to provide some student perspective on what's it like going back to school during this pandemic. So I think many of my fellow students would agree that adapting to remote learning or distance learning has definitely been a rocky journey with a lot of challenges and also triumphs. And recognizing this as a momentous time of change for schools, I want to take this opportunity to reflect on some of the positives as well as some of the negatives that have come with distance learning for students. So first, I just want to acknowledge that this is a very difficult time for student mental health. In addition to, all the uncertainty around the pandemic, other concerns such as the current fires in California and just the overwhelming nature of the world right now, students are also having to worry about changing school environments. Many students are worried about the accessibility of remote learning, as well as just how they would be able to individually thrive in this new format. In talking to other students about how they're dealing with these changes, it became very clear that this is affecting us all differently. Some students find it more difficult to concentrate while learning at home, while others lack the collaboration that often helps them learn and be engaged with material. And from what we saw around the end of last academic year, schools were not very prepared for this sudden change, and neither were students, which created a lot of stress that just added on to everything that students and youth are already facing right now. And another large challenge that we've been facing is that we can no longer count on spontaneous interactions with others as a given, which leads to a lot of feelings of isolation. While platforms like Zoom have been great methods to continue talking to other students in an almost face-to-face way, there's a key difference in that this communication often has to be very intentional and pre-planned. We're missing those interactions in classes or in the hallways that really unite us in our often stressful student experience and give us those peer interactions that are useful for our well-being. In addition, for many students, this makes it a lot harder to reach out to peers and find support in regards to things like stress or mental health in relation to school. Overall, these feelings of disconnectedness and our separation from our normal support systems serve as another major challenge to youth well-being. Fortunately, there have been some ways that schools have been adapting to these challenges in a positive way. This increasing intentionality in terms of communication and the way school is being run can also be a good thing, as some schools and teachers have really taken the initiative to center youth wellness and support students in this transition. Personally, I've had a lot of great experiences with teachers working really hard to connect with their students and to ensure that we are connecting not only with the material we're learning, but with one another, even in this new format. Particularly, this has looked like fostering collaboration through various digital platforms. In regards to technology, however, it is also important to note that a lot of students experience what is called Zoom burnout or Zoom fatigue, where because of a lot of our school and other activities are being done through platforms like Zoom, it ends up being quite exhausting. On that note, what has also been very helpful is that teachers and counselors have taken a more active role in really prioritizing our mental health. For the most part, teachers have been very understanding of the struggles within this transition, recognizing that while we are all dealing with this change together, we are handling it differently. Counselors in my school have also taken initiative in checking in with students, sending out surveys about our workload and other concerns we may have, and making sure that action is being taken on these. I've also seen a lot more communication coming from my school as they're giving out kind of regular updates about the situation with remote learning, returning back to school, and just staying in touch with students, which is helping me deal with a lot of the uncertainty around what school is going to be like this new year. And of course, while there are certainly plenty of challenges that have come with distance learning, I also want to take a moment to acknowledge some of the positives. For one, new formats of learning are giving students more agency over how we can organize our time and how we learn. This has been beneficial in giving us a little more taste of independence while also letting us make sure that we can really work at our own pace and take breaks as we need to. Having greater flexibility overall allows me and other students to have more time to pause and focus on our mental health and learn in ways that are actually beneficial to us, as well as engaging in other healing activities, such as spending time with family or just engaging in new hobbies. I know that many of my classmates have expressed that they've been able to pick back up old hobbies or activities that they might have lost in the stress and exhaustion of schoolwork, things like making music or doing art, or in my case, reading, things that have been very helpful in just coping and dealing with the stress and mental strain of the pandemic. I also want to acknowledge that many student leaders have been taking great initiative in adapting their activism to digital settings in order to meet the new needs of both the student community and of the community at large. This means responding to student mental health needs with opportunities such as self-care sessions and peer support groups, holding mask drives to support those in need during the pandemic, and acknowledging and acting against the racism present in all of our institutions. Now that these events have gone online or have gone remote, there are even greater opportunities for students to get involved in these and to really find connection through activism. It's just incredibly empowering to see that students everywhere have been rising up to the challenges and issues that we are facing in this new world. In all, this is a great time of transition that is very scary, but also pretty exciting. Keeping in mind the struggles that students are facing, it is important to acknowledge both the positive and negative, and to really work with youth to determine how to best support us, our learning, and our well-being in this time. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak.
Thank you so much, Samskruthi. I really appreciate your sharing with us this morning, and I hope that that will, provide some further inspiration for my colleagues and I as we wrestle with so many of these challenges happening at the same time, keeping youth like yourself at the center of all of it, whether we're talking about education, digital inclusion, mental health, or a myriad of other issues. Actually connecting that to a face is vital. So thank you so much for taking time to talk with us.
Thank you. All right, well, we're going to go back to item 5B, and this is under commendations and proclamations. And this is a